So this is our physics MCET class. And in this class, we are going to cover motion in a straight line and motion in a plane. So let me give you a few concepts on this before moving on to the problems. So first point, what is motion? So motion is defined as, so in general, what is motion? Motion means movement. Okay, so motion is defined as the change in the position of an object with respect to time. So whenever in physics I will be writing W dot R dot T, it means with respect to. Next is rest. Now you are sitting. The objects are lying on the table. So that means it is at rest. Why? Because it is not moving. Understood? So that is the meaning of rest. So let us define. So rest is defined as the position of an object which doesn't change along with time. The other word we use for rest is stationary. Understood? Whenever we say that an object is stationary, it means it is at rest. Next, what do you mean by path length? Now let's say there is a car at point A. There is a point B. The car started from here and it is moving till this point. So the distance which it covered, this is called path length. Understood? So how can you define path length? Path length is defined as the shortest distance between initial and final positions. And is given by delta x is equal to see, by mistake I gave you the definition for displacement. Delta x is equal to x2 minus x1. So this distance is called as path length, but the shortest distance, like I can move from A to B in any direction. Like this also I can go. Okay. Like this also I can go. Anyway I can go, but the shortest distance is called as displacement. And the path traveled is called as, or distance traveled is called as path length. Now let us write what is the definition for path length. So path length is always denoted by L. So path length is defined as the total distance traveled by an object. Its SI unit is meter. Now, displacement is a vector quantity. Why it is called as a vector quantity? Because it has both magnitude and direction. And has both magnitude and direction. Next, coming to speed. What do you mean by speed? We drive vehicle, right? We drive a two-wheeler, a four-wheeler. We know what is meant by speed. So speed is the Speed is defined as the rate of distance traveled, which means at what rate you are traveling. Rate of distance traveled by a body. So it is a scalar quantity. Why it is called as a scalar quantity? Because it has only magnitude. We say we are driving at 20 kilometers per hour or 50 kilometers per hour, but we don't say to the left, to the right, we don't mention the direction, right? So whenever we describe about speed, we mention only the magnitude, but we don't mention the direction. So that is why it is called as a scalar quantity. And we have a formula for speed, that is distance by time. Suppose you are traveling 10 meters. Okay, 10 meters in 5 minutes. So, or you can say you are traveling one kilometer in 1 hour. So we can say 1 kilometer per hour. That is kilometer by hour. So distance is measured in kilometers and time is measured in hours. That's why its unit is kilometers per hour or meters per second. It's SI unit. Because distance is always measured in kilometers and time is always measured in hours. If not kilometers, if distance is measured in meters, then time is measured in seconds. So that's why it is either kilometers per hour or meters per second. Now, let's move on to average speed. What is average speed? Average speed is defined as the ratio of total distance by total time. So the formula for average speed is total distance by total time. For example, there is one car. It is traveling 10 kilometers in 1 hour. And there is another car which is traveling 12 kilometers in 1.5 hours. Now, what is the average speed? So, average speed is total distance 10 plus 12 by total time 1 plus 1.5. So, that is 22 by 2.5. If you divide this, you get the answer in kilometers per hour. Did you understand the concept here? So whenever two different objects are given, they are traveling two different distances in two different time period. Then we have to add the distances, we have to add the time, and we have to divide them. Is it clear to you? So note down till here. Now let's move on to velocity. So I hope you understood what is speed. Speed is rate of distance traveled. Okay. So now moving on to velocity. What is velocity? Velocity is rate of change of displacement. So speed and velocity are almost close to each other. Speed is rate of change of distance and velocity is rate of change of displacement. And because distance is a scalar quantity, speed is also a scalar quantity. And because displacement is a vector quantity, so velocity is also a vector quantity. Understood? So velocity is rate of change of displacement of a body. Body is nothing but object. Okay. and it is a vector quantity. So velocity is equal to, formula for velocity is displacement by time. Now again, after velocity, let's see what is average velocity. So same like average speed, average velocity is defined as the ratio of total displacement to total time. So average velocity is equal to total displacement by total time. Finished. Understood? Now let us see what is instantaneous velocity. Now see, at one instant of time, velocity will be different. At another instant of time, velocity will be some different. So at different instants of time, you get different velocities. Right. So what is instantaneous velocity? It is defined as the velocity of an object with which it moves at different instants of time. So instantaneous velocity is denoted by u, and that is limit delta t tends to 0, delta x bar by delta t, or you can write dx bar by dt. Okay. Now what is instantaneous speed? At one instant, the speed will be different. At the next instant, the speed will be different. So the same way, we can define speed. So instantaneous speed is defined as magnitude of velocity. So what is the formula for instantaneous speed? Instantaneous speed is limit delta t tends to 0, delta x by delta t. That is dx by dt. So you got to know the difference between instantaneous speed and velocity. In instantaneous speed is a scalar. Instantaneous velocity is a vector. That's why you got a bar. So we write bars only for vectors. Understood? Now let's move on to acceleration. What do you mean by acceleration? Acceleration is the rate of change of velocity. Rate of change of displacement is velocity, and rate of change of velocity is acceleration. Try to understand the difference. Okay? And acceleration is given by v minus u by t. This is the formula for acceleration. And acceleration of a body at any instant of time is called as instantaneous acceleration. Same like instantaneous speed and instantaneous velocity. It is calculated at any particular instant of time. And instantaneous acceleration, what is the formula? A is equal to limit delta t tends to 0, delta v by delta t. That can also be written as dv by dt. That is dv by dt is rate of change of velocity with respect to time. Okay. If suppose you have dx by dy, that means rate of change of x with respect to y. So that is the meaning of dx by dy or dy by dx. Next, let us see what is relative velocity. So relative velocity is defined as the velocity with which a body approaches or moves away from another body. That is relative velocity.